So good day everyone. So this will be our first meeting for this semester. So we will have our virtual orientation. So for both general and subject orientation. So to begin, so let me welcome you. So for this second semester of academic year 2020 to 2021. So again, welcome back grade 11 students. So to begin, so let me introduce myself. My name is Mr. Dane Christopher D. Magayon. So I will be your subject teacher for statistics and probability. So these are some of my accomplishments and achievements as a student and a teacher. So I am a junior high school and senior high school teacher at Caloocan High School. I graduated with a course of Bachelor in Secondary Education, where I graduated as cum laude. So I'm a licensed professional teacher since 2018, and I've been in the teaching profession for almost 4 years. And this is my first year of teaching in the public school setup. So I'm a consistent MTOP delegate for 10 years, and I'm also part of some of math competitions and events, especially MTG way back 2010 to up to 2012. And then I'm also a national participant way back 2011. So next part, so let me introduce to you the academic calendar for this school year, especially the revised one, school calendar. So for this part, since we are on the third quarter, so we will start our third quarter on March 1, and then we will end up with April 24 with the same year. And then after April 24, come April 26, fourth quarter naman siya. And then we will formally end our school year with June 11. So to start, I will recall some of the things na need natin ma-observe for the entire school year, especially the modalities na ginagamit natin in the new normal. So we will still implement and use both synchronous and asynchronous classes. And for our synchronous classes, or known as the virtual class, so the common duration of our virtual class per session or per week is 40 minutes up to 1 hour. And then on the part of our modules, so before, meron tayong binibigay na module in the form of printed learning module, but this time around, we will adopt or use ng digital learning modules, especially on the part of soft copy or PDF. So you have to download your modules in our group, especially sa Google Drive ko. The next, we have the virtual classes na etiquette. So I know na in-explain din naman na namin to before, but I have to explain this concept, and I want to implement itong mga part 2 na to. So number 1, use your true and complete name for both Facebook and Gmail account, especially for your Facebook, kasi especially for communication purposes, for identification purposes, you have to use your true and complete name. And also for the Gmail, kasi ito rin yung nagre-reflect, especially on the part of our Google Classroom. Kasi diba, in our school, we are using Google Classroom as one of our platforms. So you have to use formal and decent profile picture. So ito po yung one of my example. Next one, so these are some of the online etiquettes that you need to observe. So number 2, especially for those students who can attend our virtual classes, or especially our synchronous classes. Number 2, always attend to our online class and be on time. So I know we have grace period for that part, but since subject natin is quite technical as compared to other subject, you have to attend on time as possible. Then number 3, upon entering in the virtual room, kindly mute or turn off the microphone. So unless you are told to speak, especially during class discussion. Pero in normal situation natin, you have to turn off your microphone to avoid nga natin distraction, especially with your classmates and also for the person who is talking, or especially our teacher. Number 4, you may or you may not open your camera. So to not invade your privacy, I may suggest to you all of you to not open your camera. Then number 5, do not share your official Google Meet link to others. So for every section, meron tayong given Google Meet link for all of you. So yung one Google Meet link natin is only applicable for one section only. So next, number 6. So this is our virtual classes etiquette, especially during class discussion. So number 6, you have to listen attentively and focus on the discussion, especially when someone is speaking or talking. Number 7, be active, especially during class discussion. So yung class discussion natin or recitation, it may vary. So you may use your audio or even yung comment section natin for recitation purposes. And then number 8, you have to jot down the important parts of the teacher's discussion. I know meron din naman akong mga i-upload na additional informations or reference materials, but better pa rin na you have to jot down the important things na masasabi during the entire virtual classes. And then number 9, so you have to be respectful at all times. So be respectful so for your classmates and also to your teachers. And then these are things to remember. So number 1, so for communication purposes, for consultation, especially if you have inquiries. So I have my Facebook account. So meron akong 2 Facebook account kasi one for personal use. Then number 2 is yung ginagamit ko for this given school year. So you have to communicate with me using this to this official Facebook account. So nandito na yung link natin, and also you can search me dun sa search bar ng Facebook nyo. So you have to type my name, so Dane Magayon. Pero pwede na rin naman yung link natin. So number 2, aside with that, we have the official Facebook group. Aside with your group chat na ipo-form, especially with your class president or advisors or other class officers, meron tayong official Facebook group pa. So ito, general Facebook group natin for the all students na handle ko, especially for this given subject. So ito po yung link. And then you can search this given group by typing Caloocan High School Statistics and Probability. So para maka-join kayo dun sa given group natin, so you have to answer yung 2 questions natin na ipoprovide nung given group po natin. So number 3, so for number 3, we have our official YouTube channel. So for this YouTube channel, aside dun sa group natin na mag-upload ako ng mga supplementary links, so I will also use yung YouTube, especially para ma-compile natin lahat ng mga videos natin for those students na hindi nakaka-attend on time ng mga klase natin or hindi talaga regularly nakaka-attend ng mga virtual classes natin. So through this given platform, mas lalawak pa yung natin, opportunity to watch or rewatch yung mga videos po natin. So you can subscribe this channel. So you may type the word Sir Dane Magayon or you may use this link for update. And then another thing, so makalimutan nyo man yung ilan sa mga updates po natin, you have to read the announcement posted in our group and also sa GC. Normally kasi I always post announcement on the group or even in our group chat. So ito yung mga common na ma-observe nyo dyan. So like for example, maglalagay ako doon ng given thread or maglalagay tayo ng given announcement in the form na lalagay natin yung mga video lesson recording. Like for example, itong session na to. Nire-record natin siya para pwede nyong balikan. Then I will also place din yung tinatawag po nating supplementary link. So ito yung mga additional videos natin na pwede nyong panoorin na mas maikli yung time. If ever na hindi nga kayo nakaka-attend ng mga virtual classes natin. So to supplement yung teaching natin or to supplement the learnings na makukuha natin through our self-learning module. And then, you have the section for the module. So, as I said, dun sa unang part, normally, ang distribution ng module natin is in the form of soft copy na. So, you have to download yung mga modules natin or self-learning module natin sa Google Drive or group na meron po tayo. Next part is the submission of the modules. So, since meron tayong klase from Monday to Friday, So for different subject and also for my subject. So yung deadline natin is every Saturday. For those students na mamit ko, especially during the part of Thursday or Friday class, you may submit your work even up to Sunday para hindi naman masyadong unfair on your part. And then, I will set consultation hours para ma-maximize natin yung time. And yun nga, para makapagtanong din yung iba, especially for those students na hindi talaga totaling naiintindihan yung given class natin. So, I have to set a time for consultation time. So, from Monday to Friday, so this will be my official time. So, 1 to 8 po tayo for Monday to Friday since we have our own classes from 8 to 12. So, lunch break lang, then 10 to 8. Then, beyond 8 o'clock, I can still answer your inquiries as long as importante. Pero, yun nga, para magkaroon din ako ng time to finish or accomplish or even prepare for the next task, kailangan ko mag-set ng given time. And then, even rest day ko yung part ng Saturday and Sunday, meron pa rin tayong consultation time kasi I know for some of the students na ito lang yung given time nila para makapagsagot. So, for every Saturday up to Sunday or Saturday and Sunday, may official time for consultation hours is from 8 o'clock up to 5 p.m. And then, we have our written works and performance tasks. So, for our written works and performance tasks, ika-conduct natin siya for every 2 weeks. So, meaning to say, I have to discuss for 2 weeks and then after 2 weeks, so we will have our written works or performance tasks in the form of Google Form or even other platforms or means. Then you have your summative examination. Yung summative examination natin is ina-conduct natin during the final week of every grading. So like for example, for third quarter, ang last part natin doon is around April 24. So meaning to say, yung week including April 24, yung period natin for the summative exam for the third quarter. And then these are our platforms. So dapat alam nyo sana kung ano yung functions ng mga given platforms po natin. So number one, you have your Facebook group, and you have your Messenger. So we will use yung mga platforms na yun for announcement purposes, for update purposes. So upload of our learning materials, especially the self-learning modules, the soft copy of that. Then recorded session. Then you have your supplementary videos and link, and then submission of activities. Especially for those students na very limited lang yung data natin. So you have to capture your answer sheet. Then syempre provided na nandun yung complete details natin, and you can forward or pass your work by that given platform. And then we can also use yung given platform na to as means of consultation. So you may PM me dun sa official Facebook account ko or even sa group para mas nababasa rin ng iba. And then you have your Google Classroom. So for Google Classroom, I can also use this Google Classroom by means of announcement. And then yung learning materials natin or module, especially for those students who can answer online. So I may suggest for those students na mayroon naman talagang internet. So you have to answer sa part na yan na ipoprovide natin yung breakdown ng mga activities natin for different weeks na meron tayo. And then this will serve as a medium for our examinations. Although meron akong separate Google Forms neto, pero maglalagay na rin tayo for the Google Classroom, and then you can submit your activities on this part. And then lastly, for our platform, so we have the Google Meet. So for Google Meet, another thing, announcement purposes. So we will conduct our online classes or synchronous sessions. And then lastly, yung part po ng consultations. If you have inquiries or questions in answering yung self-learning modules po natin. Then, for this part, ito na yung subject orientation natin. So, for this subject orientation, bibigyan ko lang kayo ng idea about sa topic natin na i-cover or i-discuss natin for the entire SEM or even for the entire quarter. Kasi, I-prepare yung part ng most essential learning competency for third quarter only. So for subject description, especially for our subject, statistics and probability. By the way, yung statistics and probability, so one of the core subjects natin siya in senior high school. So meaning to say, for all strands, meron po tayong statistics and probability. So at the end of the course, the students must know to find the variance of a random variable, to to apply sampling techniques and distributions, to estimate population mean and proportion, to perform hypothesis testing on population mean and proportion, and to perform correlation and regression analysis on real-life problems. So for this part, nakita nyo naman siguro yung core subject description natin. So for this part, so mostly, yung topic natin about statistics will revolve around the topic about studying yung concept ng data natin, especially for research. And then, these are the most essential learning competencies from the very first week up to the last week. So for week 1, so the student must illustrate a random variable, so whether discrete or continuous. Number 2, you have to distinguish between the discrete and continuous random variable. So number 3, you have to find the possible values of a random variable. Number 4, illustrate a probability distribution for a discrete random variable and its property. So number 2, so you have your week number 2. So the student must compute probabilities corresponding to a given random variable, illustrate the mean and the variance of the discrete random variable. Number 3, calculates the mean and variance of a discrete random variable. Then for week 3, the student must interpret the mean and the variance of a discrete random variable. Number 2, solve problems involving mean and variance of the probability distribution. Number 3, illustrate a normal random variable and its characteristic. And then for week number 4, you have to identify regions under the normal curve corresponding to different standard normal values, converts a normal random variable to a standard variable and vice versa. Then computes probability and percentile using standard normal table. Then for week number 5, illustrate random sampling, distinguish between parameter and statistics, identify sampling distribution of statistics, especially the idea about the sample mean. Then for week number 6, you have to find the mean and variance of the sampling distribution of the sample mean, defines the sampling distribution of the sample mean for normal population when variance is number 1, unknown, or number 2, unknown. And then for week 7 and number 8, so you have to illustrate the central limit theorem, defines the sampling distribution of the sample mean using the central limit theorem, solve problems involving sampling distribution of the sample mean. And then for week number 9, illustrates the t-distribution, identify percentile using t-table. And then for week number 10, so for our last week, you have to identify the length of the confidence interval, computes the length or the confidence interval, computes for appropriate sample size using the length of the interval, and then for the last part, you have to solve problems involving sample size determination. So for this part, from week 1 to week 10, so these are the topics na i-cover natin for statistics and probability, especially for third quarter. Kung mapapansin nyo, di ba, it composed of 10 weeks, pero normally, especially in this time of pandemic, 8 weeks lang talaga siya. So, in some other point, meron tayong mga given weeks dyan that we have to combine para matapos pa rin natin yung task prescribed or given topics prescribed by the DepEd. So for this part, again, grade 11 students, so thank you for listening. So you have to stay safe and God bless, and always read the announcements na mababasa po natin sa mga groups po natin. So thank you.